G'day and welcome. So, if you're living here in Australia, but you've still got a pension pot sitting back in the UK, you've probably asked yourself, can I bring that money over here? Well, it's a really common question, and today we're going to map out that entire journey for you.
So let's just get right to it, shall we? Are you one of the many people seriously thinking about moving your UK pension over to your Australian super fund? It's a massive decision. And you know what? There are a lot of moving parts to consider.
And look, the short answer is yes, it's absolutely possible. But, and this is a big but, it's not quite as simple as just calling your bank and wiring the money over. As you can see, it's a pretty complex journey. Don't stress though, we're here to break it all down for you, one step at a time.
Okay, first things first. Before we go any further, you absolutely have to understand the single most important rule in this entire process. It all comes down to one little four-letter acronym, ROPS.
So, what on earth is a ROPS? Well, it stands for Recognized Overseas Pension Scheme, and it's basically a special seal of approval from the UK's tax office, HMRC. Think of it like a special visa for your pension money. Your Aussie super fund has to have this official recognition, otherwise the transfer is a complete non-starter.
Right, so that leads to a really important question, doesn't it? Why can't you just send the money to your regular, everyday industry or retail super fund here in Australia?
Well, to get that ROPS stamp of approval, a fund has to jump through some pretty serious hoops. See, the UK government is very strict about making sure you can't get your hands on that pension money too early. So a fund has to limit its members to age 55 and over, lock the funds down tight, and get this, it even has to report back to the UK taxman for up to a decade after you transfer. Most Aussie super funds just aren't built for that, which is why a specially designed self-managed super fund, or SMSF, is so often the go-to solution. Okay, so let's say you've got a ROPS-compliant fund sorted. The next set of hurdles are all about the numbers. We're talking tax and contribution caps.
Now listen up because this is crucial. Timing is everything. There is a golden window of opportunity. If you manage to transfer your UK pension within 6 months of officially becoming an Australian resident, the whole transfer can be completely tax-free on this end. It's a huge opportunity, but believe me, that clock is ticking.
But what if you miss that 6-month window? Well, that's when tax comes into play. The good news is, the ATO isn't interested in the whole amount. They only want to tax the growth, the money your pension made after you became an Aussie resident. This bit is called the applicable fund earnings, or AFE.
And this example with Joe just shows you how much getting this right really matters. Let's say his pension grew by $40,000. If he does nothing, that whole 40 grand gets added to his personal income and taxed at his marginal rate, which could be as high as 47%. Ouch. But if he simply fills out one form, an election form, he can choose for his super fund to pay the tax instead, at a much friendlier flat rate of just 15%. I mean, that is a massive, massive saving.
But hold on, that's not the only financial limit you need to think about. The money coming in from the UK is also treated as a non-concessional contribution. And here in Australia, we have some pretty strict annual caps on how much you can tip into your super each year.
Thankfully, there's a very handy tool called the Bring Forward rule. Normally, you've got your annual limit, right? But this rule lets you, if you're eligible, bring forward up to 3 years' worth of those contribution caps and use them all in one go. This is the mechanism that makes it possible to transfer a much bigger lump sum from your UK pension without accidentally breaching the caps and copping a penalty. Okay, we've covered the rules and the money side of things. Now let's walk through the practical reality of what this process actually looks like. And I'll give you a heads up. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And I'm really not kidding. A typical transfer from the moment you start to the moment the money lands in your Aussie account can easily take anywhere from 9 to 12 months. Patience is not just a virtue here, it's an absolute necessity. You see, the journey itself is a bit of a multi-step saga. It all starts with assessing if you're even eligible. Then you move into a massive phase of gathering documents, and there are a lot of them. After you lodge everything, you'll probably have to do what's called a safeguarding call with the UK service to prove you're not being scammed before you finally get a magic reference number that allows the funds to be released. It is a long and winding road for sure. And you really need to be prepared for some, let's say, old-school hurdles. Many UK pension schemes just won't accept scanned documents. Nope, they want physical, wet-signed copies sent by post. We're talking about document packs that can be 30 or 40 pages long. Honestly, it's not uncommon to be waiting 4 or 5 months just to get through the initial paperwork stages. So after hearing all that, I bet you're asking the big question. With all that time and paperwork, is it actually worth all the hassle? Well,
Let's weigh it up.
On the one hand, bringing your money over gives you so much more control. You get to consolidate all your retirement savings in one place, you can access a way wider range of investments like Aussie shares or property, and you get to benefit from Australia's amazing tax-free withdrawals after you turn 60. But on the other side of the ledger, you've got to factor in the costs. Advice fees in both countries, compliance advice, maybe some exit fees from your UK provider, and of course the ongoing admin fees for your Aussie super fund.
And here are a few final traps you really need to watch out for. First, you can't move a UK state pension, so forget about that. You also have to be at least 55 right now, and that age is going up to 57 in 2028. Then there's the pound to dollar exchange rate, which is definitely going to fluctuate during that long transfer process, and that will change the final amount. And if you're not a permanent resident, you could even get hit with UK tax penalties. So the main takeaway here is this is not the right move for absolutely everyone.
So after all of that, what's the final takeaway? What's the bottom line?
Well, now that you understand the landscape, the rules, the taxes, the timeline, the pros and the cons, the question really comes back to you. Is transferring your UK pension the right path for your financial future here in Australia? It is a huge decision that requires a lot of careful thought and, I can't stress this enough, proper professional guidance. For that professional advice tailored specifically to your needs, you can call Sean Sullivan on 0413-892-531.
Just so you know, Sean Sullivan is an authorised representative, number 238668, of Vivid Financial Planning Proprietary Limited, which holds an Australian Financial Services Licence, number 478937. And finally, just a quick reminder for everyone, the information in this explainer is general in nature. It doesn't take into account your personal situation. You should always consider if it's appropriate for your own needs and, where appropriate, seek professional advice from a financial advisor. Thanks for joining us for this explainer.